So tonight, we're going to talk about the ultimate dukkha, climate change. That's a toughie. And what causes the suffering in us in a reality that we wouldn't choose, we wouldn't prefer, is by wanting it to be different, right? So accepting that this is how it is. There are many Buddhist teachings of the Buddha that can support us in finding ways to respond and continue to have a contented life. So that's what this talk is about. It's about eco-Buddhism or Eco-Dharma. And we're just going to explore it, how the teachings of the Buddha can help us understand and awaken to our environmental predicament, and then how these teachings can help us respond. So I want to hit you with some of the, first of all, you know all this stuff, and this is, I hope that you will be inspired to find some ways, some practices to help you navigate the current challenges. The Scientific American from October 2023, Earth's latest vital signs show the planet is in crisis. A new planetary report card confirms that humans are making little progress on confronting the climate crisis. So the author of this in the Scientific American, Bill Ripple, he's a Oregon State U ecologist. He says, rather than cutting greenhouse gas emissions, we're increasing them. Not good news. Washington Post from 2023 was the hottest year on record. April, last month, marked an 11th consecutive month of record global heat, the latest signs that humans are in uncharted climate territory. And the Dalai Lama was very active, as well as Bhikkhu Bodhi. Thich Nhat Hanh did a lot of work on climate. There's a lot of really inspired and helpful voices and teachers that we're going to be hearing from. So he said, we've entered the uncharted territory of a global emergency where business as usual cannot continue. We must take the initiative to repair and protect this world, ensuring a safe climate future for all people and all species. So I'm going to be speaking to you about this wonderful book called Active Hope, and the author, Joanna Macy and Chris Johnstone. Joanna Macy is a scholar of Buddhism, general systems theory, and deep ecology. Respected voice in movements for peace, justice, and the environment. She interweaves her scholarship with 5 decades of activism. So she will be giving us lots of guidance. The book is called Active Hope, How to Face the Mess We're In Without Going Crazy. That should be helpful. So there are many Buddhist teachings that we can study and practice that will really help us with this. So in particular, I'm going to look at the 3 poisons of greed, hatred, and delusion, and the interdependent nature of us all with each other, with our environment, as well as ahimsa, our intention to do no harm, harmlessness. And so we're going to talk about the Buddhist teachings, We're going to talk about how to get energized to really care enough to respond in our own unique way. We all have gifts that we can offer. It doesn't have to be big. If we all get inspired, we have to be inspired though. We have to be, not depressed. So, and then how to stay hopeful as we respond. So these three strong tendencies that we have to greed, hatred or ill will, and delusion, if we can work with these, we're uprooting from the roots of our tendencies. So greed, we find that it has nothing to do with how much we have. It's just a tendency. So we can have everything we need, and there's still this, does everybody know that, more feeling, not enough, that leaning in, wanting. Hatred is rooted in fear and ignorance. It's really the negativity of the mind, distrust. And delusion is just not seeing things as they are. It's not being able to see things as they are, only as we are. And we find these three on a personal level, in corporate level, and between nations. So eco-Buddhism says that if we can wake up to heal these tendencies on a personal level, practicing the opposite of greed, generosity, the opposite of aversion or hatred, loving kindness, and the opposite of delusion, wisdom, really waking up. So caring about the natural world, to want to, respond. We're going to be talking about getting into nature and kind of prioritizing some time for nature. But first, I want to back up a little bit and talk about how this has really been a personal journey for me. I have been avoiding giving this talk for years. I haven't wanted to do this. This was like, I've been afraid to do it. It's just overwhelming. It's not, it's not good. So to prepare for this, took courage. I did a lot of reading, a lot of listening to talks, and watching conferences and different things. And it's been heavy on my heart. 3 years ago in January, I became a grandmother. And that sort of brought a heavier burden for me to respond in some way. Now, my karmic pattern in the past was, doing everything I can, because I felt if I'm not part of the solution, I'm part of the problem. And then having self-righteous anger against other people who seem to be able to do, So I'm not doing that anymore. First of all, it's not fair. First of all, it's not true. What I'm able to do, other people aren't able to do. So that has been a huge relief. It's been a huge relief. Shaming, kind of, carrying that in me, judging, so what's actually happened is I feel better. I actually feel better having done this deep dive. It's kind of like the truth makes you free, and knowledge is power. It's like I feel like deepening my understanding, and especially with the Buddhist teachings, has really helped support me in responding in a more wholesome way. So let me share now a quote from, by the way, Eco-Dharma, Buddhist Teachings for the Ecological Crisis, David Loy, is a fantastic book, a wonderful book. And he actually has visited our Sangha. He's been amongst us. I wasn't able to meet him and be there, but he was here a few years ago, right, Clyde? How many? Yeah. So this is a quote from his book that is kind of comforting. So, it's one of those good news and bad news quotes. I'm going to give you the good news first. There's good news and there's bad news. The bad news, I'm sorry, I'm going to give you the bad news first. Bad news, civilization as we know it is about to end. Now the good news, civilization as we know it is about to end. So you guys didn't think it was as humorous as I did. There's a lot about civilization that's not good for a lot of people. So working together with others, I've reached out to friends doing some work and really involved, activists involved, and sitting with them and talking with them has really, really helped. Again, looking at the Buddhist teachings, really developing generosity, the opposite of greed, developing loving kindness and wisdom, seeing everything is sacred, going outside and everything is sacred, from little bugs to all the many shades of green in nature, the spring. There's this quote that been popping up in my mind. It's St. John of the Cross. It's tenderly I now touch all things, knowing one day we will part. And I want to share this idea of being in nature mindfully, falling in love with nature is huge. And we are nature. We're part of nature. And the four elements teachings of the Buddha, that out in nature, we have the earth element, the air element, the water, and the fire, sunshine that grows our food. Those four elements make up our bodies. And what's in our bodies is the same four elements that's outside. So just kind of walking around thinking of the four elements is a good thing. So this is Mary Oliver's poem, Mindful, that I hope will help us think about being outside in this kind of really awakened state. Every day, I see or I hear something that more or less kills me with delight, leaves me like a needle in the haystack of light. It is what I was born for, to look, to listen, to lose myself inside this soft world, to instruct myself over and over in joy and acclamation. Nor am I talking about the exceptional, the fearful, the dreadful, the very extravagant, but of the ordinary, the common, the very drab, the daily presentations, Oh, good scholar, I say to myself, how can you help but grow wise with such teachings as these? The untrimmable light of the world, the oceans shine, the prayers that are made out of grass. So the main thing is to wake up, right? To wake up with an open heart and mind, a heart guided by our practice, and fall in love with nature, getting on our knees and watching a bug move. This past weekend, the Dharma leaders had a retreat in the mountains, which was perfect for right before this talk. And I found myself getting down and looking at the legs of the millipedes, which is, I looked it up and they're like 300 sets of legs, and how they all, it's miraculous, they all work together, stepping. And they just kind of flow, this kind of worm-like creature. And it's just really amazing that I never looked at that before. And just stopping and listening to the birds and really stopping and looking at the flowers. There are so many wildflowers that if you take a picture and blow it up, it looks just like an orchid. It looks like an extravagant orchid. And it's a little wildflower that's about, last night we had this amazing experience sitting in the yard where these bunnies were doing this, these two bunnies were doing this crazy thing. And I looked it up and it was a mating dance. Has anybody seen bunnies do a mating dance? Oh my God. So I looked it up on YouTube and there it was on YouTube. They were doing exactly what we were watching. So they jump over each other and and then they turn and keep eye contact and they like walk around each other. And then the jumps get higher and they jump higher over each other and they come back around. And I mean, it goes on for a while. It's absolutely incredible. Yeah. So realizing that the root of joy is gratefulness, just being grateful for the moments that we have in this beautiful, beautiful world. So, and it's not entertaining things, is it? Right? We know that now, but it's waking up to what we have to be grateful for. So for me, I find this path has led me to want to buy less, want less, you know, run around less, slow down more. I could do better. Can anybody do better slowing down? Yeah. Um, and just being more content with the moments as they arise, not needing, not being so greedy, you know. And just simplifying more, meditating more. So realizing that another area of kind of solace is realizing we're all in this boat together and we can come together and work together to respond. We each have different gifts. So we can invite each other to study together, to talk together, to use this active. I did a year-long study of this book with a group, and it was amazing. It was amazing. And it's geared toward that. Highly recommend. Also, another book I've come across that I want to share is H is for Hope. It's Elizabeth Colbert, who writes for the New Yorker, and it's every letter has it's climate change from A to Z. So I'm going to share with you D. because it's real short. See, it's almost blank pages. Despair, D is for despair. Despair is unproductive. And on the other almost blank page, it's also a sin. So that's a wonderful book that I like to recommend. So how do we have hope? How do we face the crisis without despairing? I know I don't want to be overwhelmed with depression and aware of this black cloud hovering over all the time. I want to revel in and find joy and as much as I can for this one wild and precious life that I have. So I have this list that I made. Number one, we realize it's not my personal responsibility to fix the world. It's not any of your responsibility to fix this. I think that's a biggie. That's delusion. But we each have a particular gift to offer. We can use our own skill set to find a way to contribute to the great ball of merit. We can, number two, come together to support each other, connect, and energize each other and comfort each other. Number three, we can brainstorm, form a KM study practice group around the ecological crisis or a book study. But everyone can contribute in some way. And coming together can and should include joy, and if we're lucky, the healing medicine of laughter. This really can bring us together. So the teachings of the Buddha, the love of nature, and coming together, those three. I'm going to share finally quick couple of quotes. First, Mother Teresa. They say my work is just a drop in the ocean. I say the ocean is made up of drops. Thich Nhat Hanh, we are here to awaken from the illusion of our separateness. And finally, from Joanna Macy. We live at a time when the living body of our earth is under attack, and when the attacker is not an alien force, but our own industrial growth society. At the same time, an extraordinary recovery process is underway, a vital creative response we call the Great Turning. What helps us face the mess we're in is the knowledge that each of us has something significant to offer, a contribution to make. In rising to the challenge of playing our best role, we discover something precious that both enriches our lives and adds to the healing of our world. An oyster, in response to trauma, grows a pearl. We grow and offer our gift of active hope. Thank you so much for listening.